Today I'm going to be reviewing Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies, an upcoming horror comedy film that is based on the book that was written a couple of years ago by the same name, which is a parody of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, which also was made into a movie back in 2005 starring Keira Knightley. This film is directed by Burr Steers, who hasn't really been that great of a director. He hasn't had a whole lot of experience. He's directed 17 again, and Charlie St. Cloud, both starring Zac Efron, and those movies were not good by any means. So, obviously going into this film, I was not expecting a whole lot, especially since I saw the trailer, and it just did not look good at all. And the first thing that came into my mind was, this is going to be another movie like Sucker Punch, Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter, Hansel and Gretel, The Witch Hunters, all terrible movies, and this is what I thought this was going to be. And initially, that's what my reaction to this film was. But, this film was better than those three movies, but still, not a very good film. If you have seen Pride and Prejudice, and it's pretty much the same exact story, and literally they're just, how would these characters react with zombies being around, and the fact that they are aware of zombies being around in this time period, 1800s. The acting isn't bad. The performance by Lily James and Sam Riley is pretty good, but, it still kind of loses something. In Pride and Prejudice 2005, the connection between Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy, there's really there's a connection between them. There's some chemistry between the two, and you really feel the passion between those two characters in the film. Whereas in this film, you don't really care for any of these characters. Which just brings me to say that this is why I said earlier that the acting is pretty good. So it was surprising that it didn't have the same effect. Maybe because there's zombies walking around. That kind of takes away from it. It's not like there was a time difference. Both movies were 2 hours long, so it's not like, there wasn't enough time for character build-up or anything. Oftentimes I was confused with the things that were happening in the movie. So many things were happening in such a little time, and everything just felt kind of out of place. Now I understand that this is Pride and Prejudice and zombies, but it's as if they didn't know what their main focus was going to be on. Is it going to be the romance between Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth, or are we just going to focus on zombies? Because going into this film, I had no idea what it was about. I hadn't read the book, and I didn't know how much different this was going to be than Pride and Prejudice. Or were they going to alter the story and kill off characters that didn't get killed off in the 2005 movie? I didn't know what they were going to do, so that's why I was confused at times, because I didn't know which direction they were going on, what was the main focus of the movie, and by the end of the film I realized, it's nothing really different. It's pretty much exactly Pride and Prejudice, with how they're going to react during a zombie uprising. For instance, Jane, she gets sick because she got caught in the rain, whereas here she got sick because she got attacked by a zombie or something. So changes like that. The movie itself was not that good. I have to say the only thing that really saved this film, if it saved it at all, would have been as Mr. Collins. I thought he did a really great job, and he was hilarious, and he was more hilarious and I enjoyed his character better than in the original 2005 Pride and Prejudice. He did a great job at being the comic relief of the movie, and that's what makes the movie somewhat enjoyable at times, when he shows up and just says something random that it's just hilarious at times. It was really good to see stars like Charles Dance and Lena Headey from Game of Thrones as well, which I thought they were a bit underused, considering the fact that most people would go to watch this film because of the famed cast. It's a shame that they didn't have as much screen time. I mean, most people, like I said, would go see this film because Cersei and Tywin Lannister are in this. We gotta watch this, and it's either that or people want more of the already exhausted idea of zombies being in it. I mean, seriously. That's like what, 2 films now in theaters about zombies right now. Not to mention how many we had earlier this year. For instance, that Arnold Schwarzenegger film where he's like trying to save his daughter, but she's already a zombie and he's having trouble accepting it. In Maggie, which was actually a pretty decent movie, but Walking Dead has done such a good job that we're not shocked by zombies anymore. There's nothing, that's gonna surprise us. They're not scary, much like in Walking Dead, they're not scary anymore. So, we're just getting too much of this. So overall, I would say this movie was okay. It was not that good, but it wasn't terrible. There was definitely more worse movies to come out this year. So I would give this film a C minus, particularly for the acting. That is the one positive of this film. Otherwise, I wouldn't say that there's anything else that was worth checking out here, unless you want to see the Game of Thrones cast and what kind of characters they're playing here. So, yeah.